Welcome back to Five Questions with your girl, AJ, the Suburban Princess. We're talking health again. And this time, we're going to delve into a subject that is very dear to me, as I'm never afraid of my age. I'm just, I'm a little terrified about the perimenopause word. And I'm trying to not be afraid because you're supposed to embrace life. And someone who I know embraces her life and her silver locks, media star, radio personality, someone who I love from afar. Please welcome Helen Little.
Hello. I have to
All
ask
right.
you. I'm good. I'm good. I was pulled in by your introduction, and the first thing that popped in my mind is, what or why do you fear perimenopause?
Good question. Okay, so honestly, I do fear it only because I recently started noticing issues with gaining weight. I recently started finding out that I was pre-diabetic. A lot of stuff just seemed like it kind of snuck up on me literally in the last couple of years. And I think the fear is knowing that I've always been a hot person. That hot flash stuff doesn't scare me. It's just more, I guess, going into that next phase of I'm about to be 6 years away from 50, and have I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish? So I think it's more just that feeling of going to the next stage, and do I feel adult? Do I feel like I'm really truly embracing this next stage? And everyone has it different. Some people don't have symptoms. Some people, they're just like, oh, I get hot every now and then, I'm good. But I feel like some people don't talk about the emotional part. I do feel like my PMS lasts, like I feel like I may have maybe 5 days out of a month that I don't feel overly emotional or sensitive. And that's why I want to talk to you about it, because I feel like someone like yourself, as calm, especially the first time I interviewed you, you've made me feel totally calm. And I feel like this is a subject that I know the more I talk to people outside of my aunt, my cousins, that could really give me a crisp view. So thank you very much for coming again.
Absolutely.
And all right, we're going to start with this question. What is the piece of advice you can offer for someone like myself who's going into that perimenopausal part of my life?
Don't be afraid of it. That's why I asked that question. I'm like, I didn't experience fear, and I'm going to address the different parts of it that you mentioned. I guess because I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it. No, we weren't talking about perimenopause. What was that? 17, almost 20 years ago. I'd say 20 years ago, maybe 25. I might have started 25 years ago, didn't even know it because I didn't know 20 years ago. So I didn't have anything to fear. I didn't know the word. I knew menopause. I didn't know nothing about his sister Perry or her sister Perry, whatever. I never heard of it. So someone said, oh, you are experiencing perimenopause. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Well, what does that mean? And so I started to pick up on, what some of the things that were happening to me were. And the one thing I'd like to say to you is where you are in perimenopause and menopause is not where you stay. So that's the first thing, yeah, I gained weight too, took it off, gained it back, took it off, gained it back, but that's just my life. I also at times would get notes from the doctor that said I was that my sugar, I think it was pre-diabetic, but I took that test the night after, drinking a lot of wine and eating desserts. And so the sugar levels weren't all that accurate.
Right.
And, or you can just start to take those things out of your life now that could make you predisposed to that. So that's one of the things that I did is I'm like, okay, maybe I won't have as much sugar or this or that, started to make some lifestyle changes. I started to get better sleep. Because I wasn't a person who needed more than 4 hours of sleep. And I started to sleep more, and that made a big difference for me. Still I don't sleep 8 hours. That's like a weekend sleep maybe. But I do sleep more than I did before. So that's something. And also a part of am I where I want to be in my life? be in your life now.
All right.
That's the best thing you can always do. That's success, being in your life right now. And it seems to me that you're a person who is very passionate about doing something that you love, and you don't wait for anyone to tell you you can't do it. That by itself is amazing.
Right.
Most people don't do that. They don't. So I'm trying to help you work your way around however these fears feel or present themselves to you, because they're real.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing that I probably started around 40.
Okay.
I'm guessing, because I really don't know.
I get you. Well, it's funny, like you just mentioned, it has been discussed more openly. I don't know how many podcasts now. I even saw a personality used to work here in radio. Laia was just recently making a couple of posts about it. And that's when I was like, oh, I got to talk to her too. But I can never get her. She's very busy. But I just feel like it's more front faced than it ever has been. Menopause, I know that I even heard of the word from an episode of The Cosby Show with Claire. That famous episode where she like fakes her symptoms and starts slamming the freezer door and being real dramatic around the kids. That was the first time I'd even heard of that word or any kind of the dramatic versions of it. And so how do you feel about the recent influx of those type of women's issues coming to the forefront? Do you feel like there's certain things, certain people don't think you should still talk about that stuff out in the open? How do you feel about this recent attention to it?
I think it's amazing. I think it's necessary. I think it's a shame that we even have to ask the question. Why can't we just talk about these things? How come it wasn't a part of my life? I know why it wasn't a part of my life. But it doesn't have to continue that way.
Right.
And that's the whole point. I was watching CBS this morning, and CBS Sunday morning, and this past weekend, and there was a feature on menopause. And so I was like, oh, do a little research. Let me see what they're talking about. Because the conversation should be everywhere. And the simple fact that, what year is this? 2024, and they're just now putting, pharmaceutical help on the market for women to deal with some that are more severe. I didn't have severe stuff at all. I mean, I had moments, but I didn't have some of the things I've heard other people have, like heavy bleeding and, can't sleep and drenched, can't get out, can't go anywhere. Dressed. I had hot flashes, I had sleepless nights, but nothing was all the time. And nothing was like I didn't really notice it. It wasn't that much of a part of my life. It would happen and then it would go for years.
And I honestly was wondering, the reason why too I even want to ask that question is because obviously with the recent attention of the abortion, Roe versus Wade being overthrown and a lot of stuff, I would think that we would talk about it more, even more so now, because it's being thrust in our face that supposedly not caring about women's issues shouldn't be a big deal when it's being taken away in so many different states. So I would think that something like this, where clearly some of these judges don't understand how a woman's bodies work, they would have no issue with us talking about. But some people are old school, I'll be honest with you. Some family members I know don't like talking about stuff like this, even to this day. They're just always feel like that's just something you keep to yourself or you discuss amongst people your age. You don't put a podcast about it,
That's what they were taught. That's a generation that I came from. That's who I was raised by. And I'm like, there may be things, if I were to go through my mind, I'm like, you don't talk about that. Like Fight Club. But
right.
But I mean, why not talk about it? And the reason I say why not talk about it, because a lot of people don't know. So I have a friend who has no sisters. I have 3 sisters, so I get to see what happens in a lot of situations in life before I have to deal with it, that has been a great thing for me personally. And then I like to share that with other people. We don't, if you leave it up to just being talked about at home and you're in a family full of men, it ain't gonna get talked about.
Exactly right. And that's where I'm at, because I just had my first colonoscopy in December, and I dreaded that like the plague, and found out that that was the best drug I've ever had in my life. And I don't remember anything, just like people told me. So now my
Best
sister's
sleep
having hers.
ever.
Yeah. So my sister's having hers tomorrow morning. So I know she's going to come out of it going, oh, this is wonderful. So it's just, and my sister is one of those people too that's very private. So I can't really say we've talked about life changes sister to sister, honestly. That's just how she's always been. So that's why I say I've experienced that with my family the most. But I was so relieved when some of my cousins from Texas decided to discuss it. My aunt decided to discuss it. I haven't had anyone who's had anything dramatic yet. I'm still waiting for that family member to really like give me a really hoo-ha, funny, slap your thigh story. But I think because I'm a very I'm an over emotional person. I'm wondering if it's just me sometimes, but clearly I'm being dramatic there. So, now, have you noticed any feedback from loved ones or friends who noticed you changing in your moods or physical appearance since hitting perimenopause or menopause?
Well, I mean, it's been so long for me. I'd have to think back. I'm sure they did, but um, that's another thing that I don't fully understand what it means to be in or out of menopause. I feel like I'm out of it because I don't deal with any of the former symptoms, but I don't know if menopause is actually something that you endure for the rest of your life.
Right.
Or for at least, a good 10 or 20 years, because I did what I think was 10 years of perimenopause, and like a gift on my 50th birthday. And then the symptoms started to wane.
Gotcha.
So that was well over 10 years ago. And once in a blue moon, I'll get hot, but very rarely. I don't get mood swings from just life.
Mm-hmm.
I have gotten mood swings from a medication that was wrong for me, and that was the craziest feeling. That was the closest thing I felt to what I felt one time in menopause. I only had like one outer body, who is that bitch? Time.
Yeah.
She was crazy.
Oh Lord. And that's funny because I feel like at this point in my life too, and I don't care. I'll be 46 in September, and I still feel very much like this little girl in my family, and I get sometimes treated still obviously like the little girl in the family. But I do feel like moments like these are when I'm starting to realize, yeah, I'm in that adult mode, because just certain things are just starting to ache more, which I'm, again, used to that. But I just feel like I said, when I'm going through the PMS stages, I do feel like that kind of heaviness and dread lasts longer than it would just before your cycle. I feel like I'm still in it even after my cycle's over. And I'm like, I don't get why I'm so tired. I've never had problems with not enough sleep. I get a lot of sleep. I get too much. So I feel like I'm going over a little bit on that. Hot flashes occasionally, but with the weather being so crazy, it's like I don't even know this year if I'm even having hot flashes. Just the weather is just messing with me internally. But yeah, I feel like it's just more the emotional thing. So now, how did you know you first were experiencing? Like you said, you had a couple of hot flashes, but was there a specific day, or maybe like say on the job, that you just noticed like that was weird? You know what I mean? Or is there anything
No,
that
I think
sticks
my
out?
doctor told me. It was either my doctor or a female friend told me.
Gotcha.
Oh, I think it was about gaining weight.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, you're probably perimenopause. And I'm like, well, what's that?
Right.
And then started to learn. But so I think mine came from that shift first.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first thing I noticed. It was like, no matter what I did, I had my mouth wide shut and I couldn't lose weight. So, I'm like, this ain't normal. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that was the first thing that I noticed.
And what kind of remedies, or if anything, that you feel helped you maybe lose that weight and or maybe subside any other symptoms you might have felt like you had?
I don't remember specifically. I know I started running. I'm trying to remember when I started running though, definitely ran like almost 3 miles a day between 45 and 50, or I started to run more around that time.
Right.
So that, but I think also my body started to know itself again. a combination of that. Like I said, lifestyle changes. I changed what I was eating and, tried to be as active as possible. Not that I've always been kind of active anyway, but just being intentional about it.
Yeah, I think the active thing is definitely best. My friend tells me every day I should be walking every day, and I still
just
haven't
got back
committed.
from a walk. My second one today.
Yeah, and I told
Third
myself
one,
to get out,
no
but
second.
I was having a lot of technical issues on my job today, and I'm still technically going through them. So it's like I haven't been able to leave yet because I'm waiting for
Right.
a call, and it's just been one of those days. But yeah, I do think, Helen, you are definitely an inspiration, just in the sense that I think even before I even talked about this with anybody, I feel like some people also, if that's the lifestyle they've led from the door, like even before perimenopause even walked in, I feel like that's something that I'm trying to reclaim. Like you said, going in back into your body. I need to get back into my walking. I need to get back into my yoga. I need to. Sometimes I was just dancing to Beyonce's album the other day just to move because I hadn't really made myself walk. So I'm like, all right, I got to get up, do some yah or something. I got to shake for like,
Well, change the word need to will.
I will. Yes.
Yeah.
See, this is why you're a lifestyle coach. This is why I understand this, because yes, as I said that, you're exactly right. Yeah, my speech has to change too. And I knew this, and you know this from the last time I even interviewed you. It's like sometimes I have to catch myself and go, okay, that didn't sound right. Back.
Yeah.
Walk in your purpose, as they say. And lastly, what advice would you give to, because like I said, being 46, I know it's nothing to be feared. I'm actually excited about 50. But I think for me, my main thing is I just really want to get into gear to be consistent. I think I fight with consistency as far as trying to get into a mode. So what I want to do is just find motivation. What would you tell me to motivate myself to like just get up and just do it? What's one way or one strategy that you would help to motivate, that helps you motivate?
Ultimately your life depends on it.
Yeah.
And the life you want to lead, and the things that you want out of life. And it takes us a while to understand the saying health is wealth. Without health you can't do a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah.
And I like doing other things, a lot of other things, breathing, but
yes, breathing is nice.
So look, frame it in a way that makes sense to you, that gives it meaning. For me, is like, I happen to love being active. I like being outside. I like working out. But I don't always do it, but I like it. So there's people that don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's much harder when you don't like it, but I like it. It's just that I get complacent, lazy, just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. But when I'm committed, I am committed. So commit yourself, find that thing that I'm committed, because like I said, for me, my health is everything. Mm-hmm. So without health, I can't enjoy life, and I want to enjoy life.
I hear you. And honestly, like I saw that post when you were talking with Lenny Kravitz, and speaking of somebody who recently has been making social media waves, working out in his leather pants, and I just thought to myself, I don't know how he works out in leather, lifting no dumbbells, but I guess he was like, screw it, I gotta stick to my routine no matter what I'm wearing.
I am who I am.
I am who I am, and Lord knows he's got abs of steel. But yeah, and I had to tell myself, with WrestleMania coming through Philly, as you know, this past weekend, I'm telling you, some of those female wrestlers, I have never wanted abs so bad, but it like lasted for like one day. And the next day I was like, yeah, that's not today, girl. But I want to understand how to curb some of my eating habits, because I am a sugar person. But like I said, since becoming pre-diabetic, I have been trying to curb how much, sugar I put in my coffee, trying to just resort to fruit as like my main sugar source. I'm not a person that doesn't like vegetables. So that's never been an issue. I love kale. I love all that stuff. I saute everything. Name a food that you would say is like a kind of a good, something you like something you would recommend, I guess, is a snack that's healthy, but
See, there's a difference between something I like and something I recommend. I like ice cream. Right. I love ice cream. A snack that I recommend, I don't know. I have the same issue.
Yeah.
So
I'm a chip person. I'm chipping out and I need to chill my chip.
If you ask me what are some of the best tasting sweets, I can tell you. Actually, I found something that's cool. Well, I like dark chocolate. Okay. Dark chocolate does not have to be sweet. It just has to be chocolate. I don't like it. But I found dark chocolate with stevia. And then I found limited sugar dark chocolate. It's like they're like wafers that I think the company Stroopwafel makes them. Okay. But it's a Dutch company. And it's like hardly any sugar in it, but it's chocolate. And so I like that. But I eat a lot of fruit.
Yeah, fruit is one of those things I definitely can. I'm more of a grapefruit person now. I've noticed in the morning, and I do have to add walking. All right, well, you know what? This was my excuse to talk to you either way because, like I said, I need some good vibes. I'm gonna just try. Like I said, I'm gonna make myself move today after I get through with this stressful monitor issue I'm having, and but I wanted to first, before I leave, I wanted to see if you had anything you wanted to promote. Is there anything else going on at the radio station? Is there anything you're about to festival wise about to be out? What's been going on?
Let's see, what am I doing? I'm actually getting ready to go into the National Black Radio Hall of Fame for the Charlotte chapter. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Congrats.
I'm still mentoring through Collective Brains. You can find me on their website. What else am I doing? Oh, I'm writing. Oh, okay. I can't believe I had to stop and think. But yeah, I'm writing. And I feel really, really, really good about what I'm writing. I'm torn between doing a compilation of short stories and finishing up a novel, but I'm working right now on a novel about two sisters.
Nice. Oh, and I have a sister too, so I definitely will be reading. And if you need somebody to do the voiceover, I'm your girl.
Well, voiceover is kind of my thing too.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, just in case, you know me. But no, thank you so much for doing this for 5 questions. Obviously, it was more than 5 questions, but this is my excuse to talk to someone as wonderful as Helen. As you can feel her whole vibe, she's definitely someone you want to talk to more. And please follow her on Instagram, as she's got so many things popping up, as you can tell. I ain't even got to tell you, just go there. Follow Helen Little on IG. I'm AJ the Suburban Princess. This is 5 questions. Helen, you have a blessed rest of your day. I'm gonna still say go Birds, even though they taking a while. It's not even May, but I'm gonna still
go Sixers.
Go Sixers now. Yes, playoff. Yeah, playoff is looming. We love that Embiid is back. All right, Helen, thank you so much, and you have a blessed one. And we'll talk next time.
Bye bye.